Tonight, before you drift into another quiet sleep, I want to share something simple. Something people rarely say aloud, yet it sits at the center of every financial decision we make. Not a tactic, not a rule, just a truth most people overlook, because it whispers instead of shouts. Most wealth advice out there sounds smart, looks polished, and feels motivating, but somehow falls apart in real life. Not because the advice is wrong, but because the person receiving it hasn't become the version of themselves who can follow it. We pretend money is shaped by strategies and spreadsheets, but in the quiet moments, the ones like this, when the day is done and you're alone with your thoughts, money shows you its real face. It doesn't respond to what you know. It responds to who you are. I want to tell you a small story. It begins the same way many evenings do. A dim kitchen light, bills scattered on the table, a cup of coffee that went cold hours ago. Someone sits there, frustrated, because they've tried everything. Budgeting apps, color-coded categories, spending challenges, a dozen promises to start fresh on Monday. Nothing ever sticks. For a long time, they believed something was wrong with them, that they lacked discipline, or willpower, or whatever magic other people seem to have. But the truth was softer than that. Every tactic they tried was being layered on top of an identity that never changed. One night, after a long day that felt like too much, they said something they had never admitted before. I spend to feel in control. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't poetic. It was just honest. And in that honesty, something shifted. Because once they said it, they could also say its opposite. I want to become someone who feels in control, without spending. That was the first real step. Quiet, small, invisible to the outside world. But from that night forward, their choices started aligning with the identity they were growing into. Not perfectly, not quickly, just consistently. Another night, someone else struggling with debt wrote a single sentence on a sticky note and placed it beside their bed. I keep promises to my future self. That sentence became their compass. It didn't eliminate fear. It didn't erase the balance, but it changed the story they lived from. And when the story changed, their behavior followed. Slowly at first, then steadily, the way night turns into morning, even when you don't notice the sky shifting. Most people think wealth is built through information, but information is the easy part. Identity is the difficult part, and it's the part that actually works. If you see yourself as someone who panics, you will. If you see yourself as someone who sabotages, you will. If you see yourself as someone who can't save, you won't. But the moment you begin to shift the story, even slightly, your decisions begin to flow in a different direction. I am someone who honors my future. I am someone who slows down before I spend. I am someone who invests with calm and clarity. These aren't affirmations. They are identities. And identities are powerful because they quietly steer every choice without you having to force it. You don't need to change everything tonight. You don't need to become someone new by morning. You only need to choose a story that feels a little closer to the person you want to become. A runner doesn't ask themselves every day whether they should run. It's simply who they are. A long-term thinker doesn't panic at every headline. It's not their identity. A saver doesn't argue with every impulse. Their identity filters the noise for them. When identity becomes clear, life becomes lighter. Your actions stop fighting you. Your willpower stops draining you. The path in front of you stops feeling like uphill work. So tonight, as you rest, ask yourself gently, who am I becoming with each choice I make? Not in a dramatic way, not in a pressured way, just softly, calmly, like holding a small lantern in a quiet room. Because the truth is simple, real wealth grows in moments like this. Quiet moments, small shifts, tiny promises kept. And somewhere down the line, you'll look back and realize something comforting. It was never about finding perfect advice. It was about becoming the kind of person who naturally lives it. Sleep well tonight. Your identity is already changing.